son was 13 years old several years ago, we embarked on this journey through California. We started in the city of San Francisco, and we ended up in the canyons of Nevada. 8 days straight. We went 8 to 10 hours hiking and biking until we ended up in a place called Death Valley, hottest place on earth. And you can imagine how aggravated my son was with me. Why did we do these hard things, this particularly hard thing? It wasn't just because we were bored. We knew that somewhere, somebody needed an ambulance that we were raising funds for. We were connected to an organization that volunteered helping impoverished communities with emergency medical care. So father and son doing hard things together for the sake of others. I've got this superpower. I am a dive instructor. It's a cool thing. And I get to take people, young people, and guide them into the least known places of this planet. Places that we know less about than Mars. I can teach people to breathe underwater. And I believe that our children are our future. We believe, our whole world believes, that the next generation is going to change the next generation and the next generation. And I believe that scuba diving is the answer. Sounds crazy, sounds weird, but it's true. The problem in this world today is war, violence, right? There's depression, anxiety, suicide, trauma. I could keep going. And our world today faces these challenges that prevent our young people from leveling up. But there's this powerful book called When Helping Hurts. And it tells us about the reason why poverty exists. It's not just monetary. It's not a lack of resources or need. It exists because of broken relationships. Broken relationships with God, broken relationships with people, broken relationships with ourselves, and broken relationships with creation. And I think scuba diving can mend those relationships. And once you can mend those relationships, then you can change the world. Even young people going to the craziest places so that they can serve other people. So let's take this deep dive into what that even means. Right? Broken relationships with people. The anthropologists have this term called communitas. It's a Latin term, and it describes this shared, intense experience that multiple people go through. Usually they have to have some sort of adversary or some sort of challenge that they have to overcome. But win or lose, when they come out of it, they are different people, and lifelong relationships are bonded and formed. Friendships that last a lifetime are formed. Think of theater, plays, think of team sports and doing championships. People grow closer together in these intense experiences. Think of soldiers that went to war, the band of brothers. That is communitas. And it changes people. It restores relationships. It forms bonds. And scuba diving can do that. If you were in one of my classes, right, the big thing is not necessarily about becoming certified. It's about transformation. It's about a group of students coming together to do something that's scary and nerve-wracking. And by the end of it all that dive science, all that practice in the pool, they end up in the ocean. And when that first dive happens, think of 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, swimming around underwater, checking out the clownfish, seeing the sea turtles fly by, floating as if they're flying in the air, but they're underwater over canyons. When that first dive is over, and they're in their surface interval where they're resting, you got to imagine these kids regaling stories of conquest as if they wrestled an eel or a shark, or they high-fived a sea turtle. Never touch anything underwater, by the way. One of the things that they love to do is bond over stories, and that happens because of scuba diving relationships forming. The second thing, creation. There's a couple of books I suggest you read. It's Blue Mind and Deep. This guy, James Nestor, talks about this ancient mechanism in our bodies called the mammalian dive reflex. Right? When you see a body of water, your mind starts to change a little bit. The brain waves that's been recorded. When your face is submerged, This dive reflex kicks on and your heart rate slows. Your nervous system calms and your mind quiets. We are linked to creation. So when you scuba dive and you feel all those things, your mind is ready to connect with the fish down there. Don't connect with sharks, but you're connected to those things down there. And I'll tell you what, that whole experience of seeing extravagant coral and all these stingrays, it gets you to get mad at the world for littering, right? Every dive is a cleanup dive. That's what we always say. So when a student sees trash, they pick it up, put it in their pockets. They get out, and on the surface, when they're back at school or they're out there with their friends, they're talking about, hey, you need to recycle that. Hey, you need to throw that away. I know what it looks like underwater. Underwater is paradise. It's gorgeous. Protect my friends, the clownfish. Creation. But what about your relationship with yourself? Right? We battle inner struggles all the time. Right? We have anxiety, trauma in our lives. We had an intern come in to help us with community health education in a remote village, and she decided that she was going to learn how to scuba dive. She couldn't swim, and she was afraid of water because her uncle had died in drowning. So she said, I'm going to overcome this by getting certified. She did. When she graduated, she high-fived me, gave me a hug, said, my whole life has changed because of scuba diving. I have conquered my fears, my anxieties. And now she's ready to change the world, working as a nurse, helping impoverished communities. When you tackle those things, you have creation, you have people and yourself. Then you know what's to follow is your relationship with God. Whatever spiritual faith you adhere to, I will guarantee you the first time that you go underwater, you're going to say, oh my God, that is gorgeous. All of the colors, the life forms that you see that you've never seen before. All for you. At that moment, you're going to have a spiritual connection. And when those four things are mended, then we can become whole. And a person that scuba dives can be transformed so that they can transform others. I'm an adjunct professor at a university called Mindanao State University in Tawi-Tawi. Tawi-Tawi is one of the most gorgeous provinces in the entire world. And it has some of the best biodiversity, marine biodiversity you can see. Two of my colleagues are here now. And I work with a guy named Dr. Richard Mulalil, one of the greatest scientists in Asia. And we talk about the beauty of this ocean and how we need to protect and conserve it. And the only way to do that is to love it. It's not necessarily about the research that we can do or the technology that we can come up with, the artificial reefs that we can install. Though we do those things, what we recognize is it's about community transformation. It's about people being transformed because of those broken relationships, loving the ocean and loving people. When my son was walking through Death Valley, he was shuffling, he was aggravated, he was annoyed. I was annoyed at him too, let's be real. And he's going around, but you know what? I was very proud of him because he was doing something hard for the sake of other people. And I realized it did not start at that trip. It started when he was certified as a scuba diver at the age of 6. And it put him on a trajectory to have this protection where his relationships with God, with creation, and with people and himself were fortified. And I believe that's why today he can go along with our youth group, which some of our youth group divers are here, and we can go into the mountains, we can do work among the poor, and it's because we now appreciate all of creation. And so my question to all of you now is, what about you? A little bit of an announcement here at BSM. We're creating this Ocean Explorers program. The Philippines is the greatest dive destination in the world, and it's accessible and it's affordable. But do you want to experience what we experience all the time? Do you want to be transformed by the ocean so you can transform others? Because it's waiting for you. We're waiting, we're ready to certify everybody. And we're waiting to be able to hang out with the fish underwater. So remember 3 words: dive, serve, and transform. I'll see you in the ocean. God bless you guys. Peace out.